What's up, boys and girls? This has been Jimfy. Hope you're having a smashing day. I have an iPad. What's up? So today we're going to talk about which iPad to get. Oh yeah, in 2018, which iPad should you get? I just wanted to spill my thoughts on it. Hope you enjoy. But first, it's time for that intro. Hit it! Okay, so there are many models when it comes to iPads, and first of all, should you get like an Android tablet? No, just don't. Just, you know, if you really have a thing for Android, I get that, but you know what? Most people that have, you know, Samsung tablets, they've just sold them, they've given them away, they're just throwing it. It's expensive junk. I'm sorry for Android lovers, but you know, I have Android equipment here too. It's not that, but when it comes to tablets, you just need to get an iPad, no matter how you feel about the restrictions on iOS. iPads are just so super strong as far as performance goes, and this is what you need, basically, battery and everything. This is perfect. Okay, so it's a bit of a spoiler alert, but in case you're wondering, because I get a lot of questions. You know, I hate it when YouTubers say this. I get a lot of questions about that, and they only have like 5 subscribers. But this, I really do get a lot of questions. Which iPad do I recommend? Should I get the iPad Air 2 or should I get the iPad Mini 4? Should I get the iPad Pro 10.5 or should I get the, you know, and it just goes on and on. So I wanted to make this episode and just tell you my thoughts on things. So I would categorize the iPads into 3 categories: the mini and the basic model, you know, which was just released, the 2018 basic iPad, and the iPad Pros, the 10.5 and the 12.9. And all of these iPads have different strengths, and like, if you want the best performance, I mean, seriously, like, there's no question really. If you have the money, go for the iPad Pro. 10.5 is a really fast iPad, and it is way faster than my iPad Mini. I would still get the iPad Mini 4, personally. I could get the iPad Pro 10.5. I can afford it. It's not that. I just really love the form factor of this. And I think that everything has to do with what you're going to use it for. If you're going to game a lot, I don't think that the iPad Mini 4 is the iPad to get. Now, don't get me wrong, you can game on this thing. Like, there are a lot of games that you can definitely game, but it's not exactly... it doesn't have like the latest, you know, CPU or GPU, so it will not run the newest iPad games or iPhone games. But basically everything that was released up until last year works just fine. All right, so you can totally game on this thing. Having said so, there is another thing to consider with the iPad Pro, the 10.5, and that is the fact that it has, you know, the true motion thing, like, you know, 120 hertz. That makes a difference in games. Like, gamers out there, hands down, you need to test it, and you'll see it like within a few seconds that this is the iPad you need to get. So I would totally recommend the iPad Pro for gamers out there. Now, if you're on a budget and you still want to game a lot, I would go with the iPad, the regular sized iPad. And now the iPad, the 2018 model, it's very affordable, and the CPU and GPU is basically at the same level as iPhone 8, sort of iPad Pro-ish. It's not really up there, but it's like so close, and considering the price that it's less than half the price, I would go for that. The thing that's not so good about these basic models is basically the screen. It doesn't have the laminated screen, and it's a thicker glass, which in theory should give better protection, but it's sort of hard to explain. You sort of have to see the difference between an iPad that has this thick glass. You just basically see the different. There is like a distance between your finger and the icons that you really don't see on the iPad Mini 4 and the iPad Pros, because they had this very thin laminated screen, and it's not a big deal though, to be completely honest. Like, I have an old iPad 3 here. Honestly, it's not like I'm going like, oh, the glass is so thick, it's not like that. I don't think so anyway. MKBHD doesn't think so anyway, and most people won't notice that. Laminated screens are good if you're outdoors, because there's less reflection. But you still get reflections. So personally, on the iPad Mini 4, there is a laminated screen. And yes, I can definitely tell that there is a little less reflection, but there is still reflection. So it's still going to bother me in direct sunlight. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I recommend the iPad Mini 4. And it is, first of all, it is the size, the compact size. Like, being able to grip an iPad is important for me. Using it with one hand, I just love this. This is the way I think that a tablet should feel like. I just love this, and I mentioned this many times before. It does have a laminated screen. The colors are top-notch. The performance, unfortunately, is not top-notch because it is not the latest. Having said so, there aren't any apps that I've tested so far where I go like, oh, I wish this was faster because an app starts slow or something. And especially with iOS 11.3, it's super snappy, and I'm really happy with it. Like, severely happy, actually. I can hardly tell any difference. It's maybe when I'm exporting video files in VideoLeap. I do a lot of video editing on this, and yes, you can edit 4K, and I do it. But everything has to do with what you're using it for. There is one aspect on this that I prefer on the iPad Pro, just one, and not the performance, and that is the fact that the front-facing camera is Full HD on the iPad Pro. I'd like that, for my vlog. It would be nice to have a big screen and be able to, vlog, and I kind of like at least 1080p, so. And on the back it has 4K, but that I would definitely never use. Like, seriously, never. I've never used an iPad to film stuff. Never. Not that there's anything wrong with that, though. You want to film with an iPad, you should go with the iPad Pro. It has a very good camera. It's basically the same camera as on the iPhone 7, so you can't go wrong with that. Price is also important. Again, I think in reality, I think that no matter which iPad you get, even if it's like the last year's basic 2017 model, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. There's only been one iPad in history that has been a disappointment, and that is the iPad 3. Because that was the first iPad with a Retina display, and the CPU was just not fast enough for it. It could be the GPU, I'm not sure, but the performance was just not enough to uphold that resolution. Personally, not a lot of people are going to agree with me on this. I think that the iPad Mini 2 is actually very useful still. Yeah, I know that there are some people who have been asking me if they should upgrade their iPad Mini 2 to iPad Mini 4. Performance-wise, yes, this will definitely be faster than the iPad Mini 2. It's just that what I'm saying is that if you've experienced iPad 3, like, you would agree with me that the iPad Mini 2 is a fast iPad. Okay, see what I'm saying? So, yeah. There are also the older versions of the iPad Pros, the 9.7 inch. I think it's also a very good price on it. I'd still go for that. I don't see anything wrong for it. If you could get the iPad Air 2, you can get it at a reasonable price. And it has a laminated screen and the performance is top notch. I wouldn't recommend the iPad Air 1 because the screen there just isn't good as far as I can, when I've been playing around with it. And there is one iPad that I haven't mentioned yet. I wanted to save that for the last, and that's the 12.9 inches. I think that this iPad is a very specific Pro version for people who are very much into, editing pictures and stuff and drawing on their iPads. I guess technically speaking for movies it is optimal, but it's just not comfortable to hold. This is just my personal opinion. Okay, I just think it's basically too big. But then again, I'm the kind of guy who would prefer the iPad Mini 4 over the iPad Pro. So, it's a matter of taste and personal opinion. Like, there is really no right answer, because I know that there are some people, like if you put all the iPads flat on the ground and you have a day to play with all of them, everyone is going to have a different answer. Some might even like the 12.9 inch. Some might like, the iPad Pro more than the iPad Mini 4 and vice versa. And I think that basically our iPads are good. You just have to sort of utilize and use them the best of their own abilities. So they're all pretty much compact except for the 12.9 inch. That's why I kind of don't really recommend it. I think it's a very specific niche group that can use the 12.9 inch and feel that it's useful because it's not portable in any way. The regular sized iPad, the iPad 2018 and 2017 model, they are very thin. Compared to my iPad 3. I'm showing you here because I'm still using the iPad 3 here. I'm using it as a viewfinder to, touch to focus. Like, I can refocus my face if there is an issue. I can see if I'm recording and everything. So I'm still using the iPad 3, but it's very sluggish. So everything has to do with what you're doing, using your iPad for. I'm using my iPad for, I edit pictures, the thumbnails that you see. I do a very light editing sometimes when I vlog. I basically transfer my video files from my phone, from my iPhone 7 to my iPad Mini 4. And you should probably know that if you're gonna edit 4K videos on the iPad Mini 4, you can't use iMovie, because for some strange reason iMovie can sense that this is an iPad Mini 4 and it disables basically the ability to edit 4K videos. But you can use LumaFusion and my personal favorite, Video Leap, which is really good. So everything has to do with what you're going to use your iPad for. It really comes down to that. But again, I think that you can't really go wrong with any iPad that you pick, except for the 12.9 inch. That's the one I would, you gotta try it. If you're thinking about getting the 12.9 inch, try it first. And if you're considering any of the other iPads I've mentioned, I think that you will be satisfied. I've had a couple of iPads, even with the iPad 3, which was a disappointment as far as performance goes. I use this thing still today, and it says something about, Apple. Yeah, I'm a bit of an Apple fanboy, I guess. iPhone, iPad. I have an iPad Pro. So, no, I think that if the best thing I can really tell you, to do, if you want to ask me in the comments section, is that you can tell me specifically what you're going to use it for, and I'll tell you what I think you should get. If you're gonna edit 4K videos, I would say iPad Pro. If you're gonna be traveling a lot with the iPad, I would hands down go for the iPad Mini 4. I mean, look at this light thing, it's perfect. If you're gonna watch a lot of movies at home, or you're traveling a lot, a regular sized iPad is good enough. You don't need a laminated screen if you're watching a movie indoors. So, and again, the laminated screen, it doesn't make that much of a difference as far as reflections go. So that's what I'd go with, when it comes to which iPad you should pick. So yeah, I mean, everything depends on the topic, on what you're going to use it for. So if you want, you can just ask me in the comment section below, and I will get back to you, I promise. I'm really interested and fascinated in this stuff. So just put a comment below, ask me as much as you want, and I'll get back to you. Thank you for watching. Hope this was helpful in some way, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.
Okay, that was it. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, see that like button, smash it. And I got some freakishly awesome videos coming up. Better subscribe so you don't miss a beat. I'll see you later. Peace.